Hi, welcome to SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak, and this is Into the Weekend with BetDSI, the call we do every Thursday with Brent, the headlines manager at DSI, where he gives us a glimpse into the action he's taken over the week for the upcoming weekend in football. Right now, we're looking ahead to NFL Week 3 and college football Week 4. Brent, thanks for doing this call with us once again.
Good to be with you, Peter.
All right, let's start off with the college games, and let's start off with the Friday night game. Now, Louisiana Monroe, they went down to the wire with two SEC teams. Then they're all of a sudden a home underdog of more than a touchdown to Baylor. I mean, what was the action like on that game? I'm assuming the Sharps pounded it, right?
Well, actually, I've got pretty good action both ways, and there's a little bit of opinion going both ways. So the line's sitting at 7.5, and I don't think we're going to move off that. We had some over money more than anything else. The count on the over is about 2-1. Our money's about 2-1. But again, I don't see a whole lot of movement from now till tomorrow. And the line's probably going to stay where it is, Peter. You're right in terms of Monroe hanging tough with some really good teams. But we've got equal support both in terms of Sharps and public on both sides of this game.
Really? So there are sharp guys who are betting Baylor?
We have money on Baylor, yeah, believe it or not, and it is some short stuff, yes.
Well,
yeah, I know. I mean, the knee-jerk reaction is, wow, Monroe's been so tough, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess they know something, because if this line were as off as as it appears at first glance, then the Sharps would have jumped all over it. But I guess it's not.
Kind of like the USC line last weekend, Peter.
Right. Well, let's move on to the USC game. I mean, Cal is a 16-point. Cal's a 16-point. Road dog now at USC. You getting any backlash? Like when USC, loses outright as such a big favorite as it happened last week, do you find that affects the betting for the next upcoming week?
You would think so, but not a whole lot so far, at least not with the team like USC. They're just too high profile. Our count in terms of the number of bets we've taken is probably about 4-1 in terms of USC right now,
really?
Peter. But our money is balanced and pretty even. Now, yeah, some of that money coming back on Cal with sharp stuff at plus 17, but anything at minus 16 is a whole lot of public money, and we're probably just going to ride that out.
That's amazing. So all those guys who got burned on USC last week, they're like, are you going to bet them again this week? Like, yes, I am.
Well, they didn't cover week one either, so they just keep betting them, and they're bound to cover sometime.
Wow.
I think, but there's no guarantee on that, of course.
So once again, that's going to be a big decision game for you.
Yeah, I believe it will, and it'll be mostly public money we have on USC, and again, we're quite fine with that.
All right, let's move on to. I noticed that the Temple line, that line went way down. It's now Temple plus 7. I think it was up around like 9 or maybe even close to 10. Was that a sharp side? The Sharps just pounded Temple?
Yeah, no, Temple, we got a bunch of sharp money at 8.5, of course, on Temple. The line's down to 7 right now. The count's pretty much even, but that line came down to 7. We've got public money betting Penn State mostly. Temple money all 8.5. Money and count is split differently, of course. So you got the more money on Temple, the count's more on Penn State. So that's mostly sharp money, Temple and Penn State with the public.
Standard split right there. And then I'm looking at the Clemson-Florida State game. Now that's going to be an ESPN Game Day game. That's going to be a huge game. I noticed the line opened at 13. Florida State minus 13, and now it's been bet up to minus 14.5. What caused that movement?
Well, it's a huge game, and it's a huge game for us in terms of volume as well. I mean, the count right now is dead even, the money's dead even, but the volume has just been fantastic for us. Even on the total, we've had over money at 55.5, under money at 56, so now we're sitting at 56, right? Or sorry, 56.5 is where the under money came. We're sitting at 56 now. A lot of money on Florida State minus 14. When it went to 15, we got the Clemson money. So now, of course, we're sitting at 14.5. It's one of those nice games where you got a whole lot of money on both sides, and you don't have to worry too much about a middle. It's sitting at 14.5, and we should be pretty balanced maintaining that line, Peter.
Yeah, and how about the Michigan-Notre Dame game? And that one's got to be getting a lot of action, too. I noticed that line opened at about 6.5. Now it's gone down a bit. Have you got any sharp action on that one?
Yeah, you're hitting on all the games where we've got a ton of volume. There hasn't been a ton of sharp action there, except for Michigan when the line touched on 7. Of course, they came right in and grabbed that plus 7 with Michigan. But most of the Notre Dame money has come in minus 4.5, minus 5, kind of got driven up, and now we're sitting at 5. Probably a decent number. I could see that number going back up to maybe 5.5 on Notre Dame. But anytime you get close to 7, the Sharps are going to come in and take Michigan.
All right, and then we have another one of these frickin' lines. LSU minus 20.5 on the road at Auburn. I mean, the line seems insane at first glance. It opened at 17.5, so it's gotten bet all the way over 20. What's the action been like on that game?
It's all one-sided, Peter. LSU money, the count is about 5-1 in terms of LSU. The money's about 4-1 on LSU, and we've taken money at minus 18, minus 19. The only sniff we got back on Auburn has been at plus 21, a little bit at 20.5. We're sitting at 20.5 right now. I could see that line maybe going down to 20 if some sharp money comes in at plus 20.5 on Auburn. But other than that, you feel anytime you get below 20, the public is going to come and rush in on LSU.
Wow. So this will be the same deal. If LSU wins in a blowout, big loss for you, right?
Not good, Peter.
Right. All right, let's move on to the NFL. Let's see, where do we want to start? Okay, let's start with Houston-Denver. Now, Denver, of course, Manning had a horrible first quarter on Monday Night Football, and now he's a home underdog. Is the public sort of like skittish now of backing him?
Well, we do have more money on Houston right now. The count and money is probably about 2-1 in terms of Houston. I think the line probably will stay where it is, -1.5, maybe go up to 2.
And then the Patriots, they were a huge loss last week. All the public money backing them got burned. Now they're a small underdog at Baltimore. Was last week's loss? Is that having any impact on the betting action that you're seeing now?
It is in that our count is even. You got people on both sides of that game. Our money probably is about 2-1 in favor of Baltimore. We're at -3, dog a quarter, and probably hang around there for until Sunday night there. But it'll be a heavily bet game by game time, of course.
Okay, yeah. And then last week we talked about how Dallas went on the road to Seattle. Dallas was a huge public side. The Sharps took Seattle, and Seattle, of course, won outright. And now this week we almost have a bigger deal game. It's a Monday night game. Same type of deal. Green Bay is a 3 or 3.5 point favorite at Seattle. Is that just the same kind of thing? Public pounding Green Bay, Sharps inching in on Seattle?
Yeah, the count is about 10-1 on Green Bay,
Wow.
which is really big. In terms of actual money that we've taken, we're about even. But again, most of that money on Seattle came at +3.5, some even at 4 at the time. We're sitting at -3, -1/4, getting a lot of public money at that line, and we'll probably stay there, Peter.
So that won't be a decision game for you. It'll just be Sharps versus public?
Exactly.
And then Washington is -3 for Robert Griffin's regular season home debut. Is that getting a lot of action?
We got actually sharp money on Cincinnati, and we have some public money on Washington. So that's a good one for us. The count is probably only about 2-1 in terms of the number of bets we've taken in favor of Washington, but our money's pretty much even. So a case like that, when you've got more bets on one side and the money's pretty much even, you can tell that the public is betting Washington, and the Sharps are taking Cincinnati. And again, they took them mostly +3, +05, which is a really nice price. I wish I had a piece of that.
All right, okay. And then another game that looks like one of those games to me is Pittsburgh traveling all the way across the country to Oakland. They're a 3.5 point road favorite. I'm assuming you got at least a decent amount of sharp action on Oakland +3.5, right?
We got some sharp money on Oakland when it was 4, but we actually even had public money, public laying Pittsburgh -4. We're sitting at 3.5 right now, but the count's kind of getting out of hand on Pittsburgh, about 10-1 in terms of the number of bets we've taken. Money's about 4-1 in favor of Pittsburgh.
So that's going to be a decision game for you then?
That will be a decision game, and I could definitely see the line here going up to 4 on Pittsburgh.
Right. Okay, so that's one of those games where it's like the public's all over Pittsburgh, but the Sharps are less on Oakland because, even though they know they're getting a good number and fading the public, they're not quite as enthusiastic about it.
The public money has pretty much drowned out the Sharp in terms of betting on Pittsburgh. We've seen that with San Francisco this weekend, Dallas, and Chicago as well, all games like that.
And then before we let you go, just looking over the whole card, college and NFL, what, just off the top of your head, a few notable Sharp sides that you've noticed through the week?
Well, one thing I want to say first, Peter, is really notable this week is the volume. We've got just tremendous volume this weekend, and I'm not sure whether people are kind of figuring they've got things figured out or what it is, but a game like UTEP, Wisconsin, ton of money. UTEP's not a marquee team.
Really?
Bowling Green, Virginia Tech, again, for Bowling Green, come on, ton of volume on that game. A decent game like Miami, Florida, Georgia Tech, just a ton of volume. So, football season definitely is in full swing now.
Yeah.
In terms of college football, the public money, we got a lot of public money on Georgia. That was from 14 all the way to 15.5. We're sitting 16 right now and haven't got a whole lot of money back on Vanderbilt. So that's mostly public money driving that up. So that would be, if Georgia covers, would be a bad result for us. We're looking for Vandy there. Florida's another situation like that. We've got a lot of money on Florida, -24 all the way up to 25. And Mississippi as well. They're a 19-point favorite and just a ton of money one-sided out there.
All right, great. And what about a sharp side? What's some sharp side where, when you saw the action coming in this week, you were like, wow, the Sharps really like that side?
I would say Kansas State at Oklahoma. The line's Oklahoma -14 right now, but anytime it goes 14.5 or 15, sharp money's come in on Kansas State pretty strong.
All right, well, I'll be interested to see how that game turns out. And thanks so much once again, Brent, for all this great information.